Chris. I see in the paper that...
The Games Workshop protest is still taking place.
And as a
Warhammer fan.
I demand you enlist. Peter, you can't send Chris to...
Games Workshop protest.
They're bombing women and children. You have no idea how bad it is over there. I don't? Oh, I know...
Games Workshop protest.
My friend, I stormed the beaches at Normandy. Ah! Of course, it was 1958, so the resistance wasn't quite as stiff.
What's poppin', y'all? Last Father's Day, I tried to get my old curmudgeonly dad into the hobby of wargaming. And part of his present was me actually painting the miniatures for him. Recently I've been posting pictures of the actual project that I got done, and everybody's been saying how good they are and asking me how I painted them. So I decided to put together a bunch of my old footage of painting them. It's a bit rough, but I think you're going to be able to pick up the gist from this. Without anything to do, let's hop into it. The first thing I'm going to be using is my old airbrush, and I'm going to be throwing olive drab through it. Now I'm using an army painter paint here. Personally, I would prefer other paints. I don't really like army painter. That's just what I had on hand when I was painting. One of the coolest things I was able to achieve before actually painting these miniatures is going to a World War II historic living history event and actually getting to sit down and talk to people who do, and I was able to color match some of the fatigues. After that, let's get into the nitty gritty. After I use the airbrush, then I decide to use an army painter wash. Now, you can use a plethora of different washes here for what you want to do. You can either use army painter soft tone, you can use army painter strong tone, or you can actually use a null oil equivalent. Any sort of brown wash or black wash will work. Next thing I used was the original paint that I had shot through the airbrush, and then on top of that I used a lighter tone from Citadel as a unified dry brush to give shadows, a mid-tone, and a light tone that would look a bit more realistic than you normally would use with a Warhammer miniature. Recently I've been seeing this go around that you should be using a dry brushing palette. That's completely dumb. Don't do that. All you need is an old rag that's been dampened. This will help you with your dry brush. The next part is working on the backpack and ammo belt. Here I decided to pull the paint straight from the pot because I didn't feel like thinning it, because I just wanted one coat and I would only use that one dip of paint for the whole miniature. So I just kept on pushing that whole paint around because I was kind of trying to speed paint these. I needed to get them done for a game that my dad wanted to do. This is where technical painting skill just ends up becoming you repeating the same step over and over. Now I'm going to apply the wash in targeted areas. Disclaimer here, I'm using green stuff paint for the brown. It's fucking shit! It's fucking terrible. I hated using this brown every minute, so I'm just trying to use it up to get rid of it. It doesn't dry brush very well, and then it's so watery I almost have issues having it coverage with thinning it, so I have to use it straight from the bottle. Monument Hobbies is my favorite paint, so obviously go check out Monument Hobbies. They have a really good brown, they have really good paints. Now, as an American, firearms are part of my religion, and I've spent many Sundays observing my religious beliefs with firearms. I was able to handle the actual firearms several times before that these people would be using, which is the M1 carbine and the Thompson. One of the most interesting parts of that is that the metal itself is very dark. So I decided to mix some charcoal black into my silver paint to tint the pigmenting, but keep the metal flakes to where it would still be reflective. Finally, we get to the skin, and at this time period, I didn't know how to paint skin. I've been learning how to paint skin a lot recently, but back then, I knew absolutely nothing about painting skin, so I just slapped on a white paint, put a purple wash on. Halfway through painting these guys, I ran out of my normal skin wash from Army Painter, and I picked up the Citadel version of it. And the Citadel version is better, but I don't really like paying the high prices for Citadel, so I would still go with Army Painter. The final step I decided to do is add a bunch of grass tufts to make it look like they were fighting in the middle of the fields of Normandy. But I found these really cool tufts that also include rocks, and I really liked it. I don't know why. I've used them on my wolves, and I used them all up on this army, so I need to go buy some more from my local hobby store if they have them. I also like how much I covered the base of the miniature, because it made it look like a bunch of plants all growing near each other like a field of grass. And with that, the miniature's done. I think these guys turned out really good for just simple principle speed painting, and are the prime example of how you can use miniatures outside of Warhammer to speed up your process. And I made these for my dad, somebody who would never paint, so he doesn't have any excuse not to play anymore. So, suck it. Anyways, if you enjoyed this, please like and subscribe. If you want to see more content like this, I have lots of videos on my channel, and please leave advice of what videos you want to see on this channel in the comments below. With that, bye-bye.